You've seen the golden buckets, the buttery biscuits, the smell of fried chicken that hits you before you even turn the corner. Every single day, millions of Americans pull into that red and white striped drive-thru. Families on road trips, college kids at 2 a.m., working parents too tired to cook. KFC isn't just fast food, it's a ritual, a $30 billion ritual. But here's the crazy part. The man behind that empire, he didn't own a single stock. He didn't get a dime of those billions. And he started with nothing but a pressure cooker and a prayer. His name was Colonel Harland Sanders. And this is the story of how a dirt-poor failure became the face of the world's most famous chicken, without ever really getting paid for it. Let's go back, way back, to a one-room log cabin in Henryville, Indiana, 1890. No electricity, no running water. Harland Sanders was born into a world where you grew your own food, sewed your own clothes, and buried your own dead. By the time he was 5 years old, his father died, just gone. And his mother, she had to work. So guess who became the family cook? A 5-year-old boy standing on a wooden crate, stirring pots of boiling vegetables, burning his hands, learning the hard way that if you don't cook, nobody eats. That's the first thing you need to understand about Sanders. He never had a safety net, no trust fund, no family business to inherit, just hunger, real hunger. Not the kind you feel before lunch, the kind that wakes you up at 3 a.m. and reminds you that tomorrow isn't promised. By age 10, he was working as a farmhand for $2 a month. $2. In today's money, that's about $60 for a month of sunrise to sundown labor. He quit school in 6th grade, never went back, and for the next 3 decades, he failed. Not once, not twice, over and over and over again. He tried being a streetcar conductor, fired, joined the army as a private, got kicked out after a disciplinary issue, tried farming, failed, worked as a railroad fireman, got into a fight and was let go, studied law by correspondence, thinking maybe that was his ticket, practiced as a justice of the peace for a while. Then he got into a courtroom brawl with his own client. Yeah, his own client, so that ended. He sold life insurance, got fired for insubordination. He sold tires, the business collapsed. He tried to start a ferry boat company, it flopped. He tried to manufacture acetylene lamps. The market changed overnight and wiped him out. By the time Sanders turned 40, he was broke, angry, and embarrassed. Imagine being 40 years old, living in a tiny rented house in Kentucky, no savings, no degree, no career, and a wife and daughter to feed. Most people would have given up. Most people did give up. But here's where the story flips. Sanders got a gig running a service station in the small town of Corbin, Kentucky, Route 25, a 2-lane highway that carried travelers from the Great Lakes down to Florida. His job was simple: pump gas, fix flats, and sell a few snacks. But Sanders noticed something. Those travelers were hungry. They'd pull in, fill up their Ford or Chevy, and ask, "Where can we get a decent meal around here?" And Sanders, being Sanders, said, "Right here." He didn't have a restaurant, he had a gas station with a card table in the back. But he started cooking. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, gravy made from scratch. He used his mother's recipes, the same ones he learned when he was standing on that crate as a kid. And within months, people weren't coming for the gas. They were coming for the chicken. Sanders stopped pumping fuel and built a 142-seat restaurant. He called it Sanders Court and Cafe. It was a full-service roadside stop with a motel, a dining room, and the best fried chicken in Kentucky. Now here's the part that most people don't know. Sanders didn't invent fried chicken. Every Southern grandma had a recipe, but Sanders figured out something no one else had: speed and consistency. He started using a pressure fryer instead of an open pan. That cut cooking time from 30 minutes to just 8 or 9, and the chicken came out juicier, crispier, more consistent. That was the secret. Not 11 herbs and spices, not yet. The real magic was industrializing home cooking. By the 1950s, Sanders was doing fine, not rich, comfortable. But then everything changed. Interstate 75 was being built, a massive new federal highway that would bypass Corbin entirely. No more travelers, no more hungry families pulling off Route 25. The restaurant's value crashed. Sanders was forced to sell at auction for a fraction of what it was worth. And after paying off debts, he was left with a Social Security check, $105 a month. He was 62 years old, ancient for the era. Most men his age were sitting on front porches, rocking chairs, waiting out the clock. Sanders did the opposite. He packed his 1946 Ford, filled the trunk with a pressure cooker, 50 pounds of flour, a few jugs of his seasoning mix, and hit the road. Not for fun, for survival. He drove from diner to diner, motel to motel, restaurant to restaurant across Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee. He'd walk in cold, ask to speak to the owner, and pitch him like his life depended on it, because it did. "I'll make you a deal. You cook my chicken my way. You sell it. I'll give you a percentage of every piece you move. No upfront cost, no risk. If it doesn't sell, you owe me nothing." Most owners laughed. Some threatened to call the cops. They thought he was a crazy old man with a dusty suit and a goatee. But Sanders didn't stop. He slept in the back of his car, ate at truck stops, drove through blizzards, got rejected 1,009 times. Let me say that again. 1,009 times. 1,000 no's, 1,000 doors slammed, 1,000 get lost old man conversations. Most people quit after 10. After 50, they'd be shattered. After 100, suicidal. But Sanders kept driving. And then, the 1,010th time, something changed. A man named Pete Harmon in Salt Lake City, Utah said yes. Harmon ran a barbecue place called Harmon's Cafe. He wasn't looking for a miracle. He just thought the old guy had good chicken. Harmon cooked the first batch, sold it, and within a year, his sales tripled. Suddenly, other restaurant owners started calling Sanders, not the other way around. "We want that chicken. We want the recipe." Sanders didn't have a legal team. He didn't have a marketing budget. He didn't have a website or a TikTok or a franchise consultant. He had a handshake and a piece of paper. He granted franchises for the princely sum of a nickel per chicken. That's 5 cents. Every time a franchisee sold a piece of chicken, Sanders got a nickel. But here's the catch. He wasn't greedy. He wasn't trying to build an empire. He was trying to pay his rent. So he kept the deal simple. Too simple. By 1964, CFC had grown to over 600 franchises across the US and Canada. Sanders was 74 years old. He was a living legend. He'd been on the Today Show, he'd met presidents, the white suit and string tie had become iconic. But Sanders was exhausted. He couldn't inspect every kitchen, he couldn't taste every batch of gravy, and he hated what some franchisees were doing. Cutting corners, changing recipes, using cheaper oil. So he made a decision that would define his legacy and haunt his final years. He sold the company. A group of investors, led by a Kentucky businessman named John Y. Brown Jr., offered him $2 million. In 1964, that was enormous money. Sanders said yes, but the deal came with a twist. He would become a salaried employee of the new company, a spokesman, the face of KFC. He would travel, do TV commercials, open new locations, and smile for the cameras. In return, he would never own a piece of the company again, not one share, not 1% of future profits. At the time, it seemed reasonable. $2 million was more than Sanders had ever dreamed of. But here's what happened next. Under Brown's leadership, KFC exploded. They went public in 1966. They expanded to over 3,500 locations by 1970. They were bought by Hublin, then by R.J. Reynolds, then by PepsiCo, then by Yum Brands. Today, KFC has nearly 30,000 restaurants in over 150 countries. It generates roughly $30 billion in annual system sales. And the Colonel? He died in 1980 with an estate valued at around $2 million, the same amount he sold the company for 16 years earlier. Let that sink in. If Sanders had kept just 10% of the company, his family would be worth $3 billion today. If he had kept 1%, they'd still have $300 million. But he kept nothing, because he was a cook, not a businessman. He was a survivor, not a shark. He spent his final years furious, suing franchisees, complaining to the press, publicly saying the gravy tasted like wallpaper paste. He called the new owners a bunch of bastards for changing his recipes. And you know what? He was right, but he was also powerless.
Here's the lesson that most YouTube videos won't tell you. The Colonel didn't fail because he was lazy. He didn't fail because he was dumb. He failed because he didn't understand leverage. He traded a future of billions for a present of safety. $2 million felt like winning the lottery to a guy who'd spent decades broke. But that same decision made hundreds of other people rich. The investors who bought him out, they became millionaires. The franchisees who signed those early nickel deals, many became multimillionaires. The executives at Yum Brands today collect bonuses bigger than the Colonel's entire net worth. And the Colonel? He got a white suit, a bucket, and a statue in the lobby. But here's the twist that makes this story unforgettable. Sanders didn't need the billions. He didn't want a yacht. He didn't want a private jet. What he wanted was respect. He wanted people to taste his chicken and say, "Damn, that's good." And in that sense, he won bigger than anyone. Because when you walk into a KFC today, in Tokyo, in London, in Dubai, in Nashville, you still see his face. Not the CEO's face, not the investors' faces, the Colonel's face. That goofy grin, that string tie, that old man who failed 1,000 times and kept driving. Name another fast food founder who is literally the brand's mascot. Not Ronald McDonald, not the Burger King, not Wendy's red-haired girl. The Colonel. He's on the bucket, the napkins, the commercials, the merchandise. He's been played by actors in Super Bowl ads. He's been turned into an anime character in Japan. He's a meme, a legend, and a cautionary tale all at once. And none of that would have happened if he'd gotten rich. If he'd cashed out and bought a beach house in Florida, he'd be forgotten. But because he stayed broke, because he stayed hungry, because he stayed that scrappy old guy fighting for a nickel a chicken, he became immortal. Now here's why this matters to you, to the 18-year-old watching this in their dorm room, to the 35-year-old stuck in a job they hate, to the 50-year-old wondering if it's too late to start over. Sanders was 62 when he franchised his first store, 74 when he sold the company. He spent 40 years failing and then became a global icon. Time wasn't his enemy, time was his weapon, because every rejection taught him something, every failure stripped away what didn't matter. By the time success came, he wasn't arrogant, he was grateful, and that gratitude made him beloved. American culture worships young founders, the Zuckerbergs, the Musks, the college dropout billionaires. But the real American dream isn't about being young, it's about being relentless. It's about getting knocked down 1,009 times and standing up for the 10th. It's about driving through a snowstorm in a beat-up Ford with a pressure cooker in the trunk because you believe deep in your bones that people will love your chicken if you can just get them to taste it. So the next time you pull into a KFC drive-thru and order a 3-piece combo with extra gravy, remember the man behind the bucket. He didn't get the billions, but he got something better. He got the last laugh. Because 40 years after his death, we're still telling his story. We're still trying to copy his recipe. We're still saying his name. Colonel Harland Sanders, the dirt-poor kid from Indiana who never stopped cooking. If you want to learn the exact moment Sanders almost gave up, the one night he sat on the side of the highway in the rain and cried, hit that like button and comment pressure cooker below. Subscribe to Brand Story Lab for more deep dives into the world's most iconic brands. And remember, your biggest failure might just be the setup for your greatest comeback. This is Brand Story Lab. We'll see you in the next one.